Welcome to Voice Rising with Kara Johnstad. Enjoy weekly conversations with leading luminaries, pioneering visionaries, singers, poets, musicians, and sound healers as we explore the profound role our voice plays on the path to self-realization and global enlightenment. The internationally acclaimed singer, composer, author, healer, recording artist, voice expert, creator of Voice Your Essence, and founder of the School of Voice, Kara Johnstad uses her extraordinary spiritual gifts to empower others. Everything in this world vibrates. Everything has a frequency. A pioneer in the field of voice work and transformational songwriting. Her breakthrough methods are helping thousands of people worldwide fine-tune their body-mind-spirit system and unlock the energetic frequencies of limitless creativity, health, and abundance. Share your voice, ask your questions, join in the conversation. Receive life-changing, positive transformation and rise together to create a sound world. And here's your host, Kara Johnstad.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today with me is David Gibson. He is a leading scholar and researcher in the field of sound healing and therapy. He has developed a complete perspective of how sound affects us physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and distilled it into the hierarchy of vibrations found in the universe. He is the author of the #1 selling book in the field of sound healing, The Complete Guide to Sound Healing, and runs a sound therapy center at the Globe Institute, offering over 15 types of sound healing treatments. And he is also, I tell you, this guy is amazing, and I'm just thrilled that he's with us today. He's also created the Sound Healing Research Foundation to bring sound healing into the mainstream healthcare, and he's spearheading research projects involving sound and music for things such as PTSD, anxiety, anger, grief, autism, pain management, schizophrenia, chronic fatigue, brain injuries, and if that's not enough, he's also working in the educational field to bring sound healing to our kids. And if that's not enough, I was also checking him out these last days, his beautiful music on, Spotify and any kind of streaming platform. So I said shortly before the show, I don't know how he sleeps. I think music and sound must energize him so much, but I warmly welcome him now to the show. Welcome, David, to Voice Rising.
What a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
David, really, I mean, your work is amazing, and it just seems like, you know, like all this ancient wisdom and all this knowingness that many of us carry is just here now. I mean, I could talk for days, and I think we're going to focus on this 1 hour, and I'd like to focus on voice. I was thinking the other day, in 1971, John Lennon released that big anthem, Imagine. And in that anthem, as we all know this song, it says, imagine all the people, right? And it was this very utopian vision. But while I was researching for the show, it was so clear to me that we are so beyond imagining. We are literally capable of making powerful choices to bring it to the earth here and now. And I think a lot of people don't realize that it's available. We're all thinking we want world peace someday, maybe, but your work is showing us it's not a matter of believing in the someday. It's really transforming quickly if we say yes. So I guess speak to us a little bit about your big mission of the heart and about which choices we have now to create not a utopian world, but the world that we deserve, which is a harmonic and coherent planet Earth.
Oh, it's interesting because you're exactly right. You know, one perfect example, we're working on bringing sound into the medical field. And 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, I would do meditations with groups, and I would say, imagine sound in the hospitals where we're not hurting people. We're actually just, using very specific frequencies for exploding cancer cells, for very specific things. And I was just visualizing it. And now it's actually happening. 5 years later, it's actually happening. And then, with the work we're doing, or a lot of people are doing with brain waves and binaural beats to entrain the brain in different brainwave states of delta for sleep, theta for creativity, alpha for presence, and beta for thinking and overcoming ADD, and then gamma for blissing out. Well, they've now figured out how to use a combination of frequencies to actually, with ultrasound on microtubules in the brain, to bring you into a state of oneness and unity consciousness, and it's measurable, right? So what we're talking about is now the possibility. I mean, when you are in oneness, there is no more anxiety, no more depression, no more PTSD. So I'm starting to see now an end to these really difficult emotional states, right? And I couldn't see that even a few years ago. I mean, not to mention that now sound healing's coming into the mainstream, and a lot of people are realizing how simple it is to use your voice and just go, right? To access a bit of peace. Yeah. What I've learned more than anything is peace is the frequency humming consistently. You can have chaotic vibrations like fear, or anger, or anxiety, or even pain, right? Which break your system down, versus the stable vibrations of the vowels or any sound healing instrument, which are like, and that's where the peace is. When the body is healthy, every single cell, every single organ is humming consistently instead of chaotically. And this is the basis of all sound healing and all vibration. It's not even just sound. It's actually the difference between chaotic electromagnetic frequencies versus stable, versus chaotic light frequencies versus stable, even chaotic quantum frequencies, which would be intentions, right? Or energy versus stable. That's where the peace is. But if you look at the higher level, it's about smooth musical flow. So you can work at the frequency or pitch level where it's just stable, but at the flow level of music, it's all about smooth flow without blockages. This is the definition of health in the body, a song flowing smoothly, right? So those are kind of the two levels of the basis of how it works. Nature has it down, right? Smooth flow everywhere. It's so funny. It's like we think, okay, you got a rock in the middle of the river. It's like, well, you don't go, that sucks. You look at the river flowing smoothly around it perfectly, right? And this is the definition of health, is smooth flow through each of the 11 systems in the body.
And perhaps it's because of the consistency of the flow that the rock, that's something that we find we would perceive as being very hard in comparison to water, but in the end, it's the water that that how do you say, chisels down that rock, right? It's it's the flow that actually, the flow of the waves that make that cliff lessen. Which I always find fascinating. That flow energy is very powerful. We perceive it as maybe being weaker, but it's actually that's the strength.
And this is how it works at every level. Physically, smooth. I mean, if you don't have smooth flow through your nervous system, you'll be shaky. If you don't have smooth flow through your circulatory system, you could have a heart attack. If you don't have smooth flow through the digestive, but it also emotionally, emotions are meant to flow on through and move on out, right? Not get stuck. Even mentally, smooth flow is the definition of focus. You're not jumping around to different thoughts, right? And that's why we do meditation. Smooth flow spiritually, well, gratitude's a cool, smooth flow, or compassion, or love, or your soul. But the smoothest flow of all is source energy. Source energy is so stably smooth flow that we think of it as a state of being, of peace and profound stillness, right? So that's the best smooth flow of all.
When you were talking about humming, I was thinking for singers, the hum is also what regenerates the tone, or it allows our voice to work over many, many hours, right? But it's also, we call it the rim function. It's what brings light into the body or into the tone. It's what brings the brilliancy. And I remember doing an interview once where they were talking about humming literally curing things like schizophrenia by 70%, only humming, right? It's so powerful because often when we have these non-flow states, or people are maybe stuck with their, in very difficult emotions, what happens is the body will naturally rock and start humming, but we're often told, quiet. Don't do that. You're bothering. Right. And actually, the body knows what to do, right? The body knows to
As babies, we had it down. We were professional sound healers. If you had anything going on, you went, wah, to let out the blockage. Wah, right? Yeah. And then around 1 or 2, they say, shh, and then you go to school, and it's no more sound, right? And we lose that God-given ability.
Yeah. Well, I mean, talk about that. It fascinates. What fascinates me is I'm always trying to figure out the timing of it, because we all come with this big voice, and our mother, of course, had a huge voice to even bring us to the earth. I mean, you cannot give birth without voice. We arrive with this huge voice, and which is very expressive. And I always talk to people, there's such a power, because we just have to go a little bit like, and suddenly everybody stands up and runs towards us, right? I mean, hopefully, if we have a loving family. And, right? It's such a power in the room. And at some point, and I'm always trying to figure out, is it the school? But I think it comes before that, when we are basically told, when somebody asks us a question like, it's time to, we have to eat spinach, and we're spitting it out and saying, no. And they're like, hey, it's time now. And suddenly we get these really confused signals that our emotions have to be a certain way, and that our words and our languages. So how do we come back to that garden? How do we, I know for myself, because I'm obviously a songwriter and a singer and a voice coach, but how do we, number one, support our kids to be more expressive, and to allow their no to be no, or their cry to be a cry, or their frustration to be frustration, right? And how do we ourselves start to, what I would say, integrate it, like, we're whistling while we're picking up the dirty clothes, or we're humming, like you said, right? Humming is one of the greatest, easiest things to do.
Yeah. The first thing is you have to realize you can't do it wrong. This is the number one thing that makes people afraid to make sound, right? Because with professional singers, you think, oh, I can't sing. Well, no. We're not singing. We're doing sound. You can't do it wrong. You can't be out of pitch. You can't do it wrong at all. And therefore, that's total freedom. And then the whole trick is just play. Gibberish is a good place to start.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
To tell the story of your day in a language that you don't know, in that gibberish. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Just do any sound, make any sound, and play. then it's not just the M sound of humming. You can start working with any vowel. Just breathe in and do any vowel. And you're creating a stable, consistent vibration. Even 10 seconds, if you're stressed out, can help dramatically. And there's good science behind it, too. What it does with all the different cells and nitric oxide that's created, resonating the chambers. It's just any vowel. And that's the most basic. But sometimes, if you're really stressed in an emotion, it might be hard to go to a vowel. So the best is to ultimately get where you can express how you feel completely. I had a bad day. Right? And then slowly transform that to a vowel. And that's what we're teaching the kids is first, do the sound of how you're feeling. And then, if you don't like it, shift it to a stable, consistent sound. Right?
That is so precious, because there are so many of us that have struggled with being told that the sound was not pretty or not good, and that the emotion. I mean, I had a talk with somebody on the show the other day too. These negative and positive emotions. Instead of saying it's just energy moving through our body. And frustration or anger or sadness or grief is not more negative than.
There's one thing you got to be careful about. One thing you got to be careful about, because if you run these so-called negative emotions for too long, they will kill you.
Yes.
They will kill you. So the trick is to not fight them when they first come in, because the resistance, you know what the sound of resistance is? Right? That's the worst. There's nothing worse than that, right? But if you run this anger or anxiety or
Panic,
any of it for even more than a half hour, it's really breaking your body down.
Yes.
So it's interesting, you don't fight it when it comes in, but here's the deal. We're not meant to feel bad.
Yeah.
And that's your guidance system. If you're feeling bad, especially over days and days, I mean, that's most psychic healers say the emotions are 100% of the cause of disease.
Yeah.
If that's true, don't allow yourself to continue feeling bad. Make the sound of it if you need to. If you're not facing it, make the sound of it. And you might have to practice until you get free to make the sound. Then slowly shift it, back to. And you don't have to go to joy. Even gratitude can be a little difficult for some people, right? If you're in a challenge, just go to a stable vowel.
Yeah, just come back to that. Exactly, that stable energy. We are going to take a very, very short break, and then we're going to be back with David Gibson and deep dive more into voice, sound healing, frequencies, and all that good stuff.
The cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organisation, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
With happy clients all over the world, Cara Johnstad knows that your voice is the missing link to more authenticity, abundance, creativity, and health. An internationally acclaimed voice expert, Kara's breakthrough methods have helped thousands of people successfully heal their voice wounds and extinguish the story of self-doubt and shyness forever. Join in group trainings, attend online sessions, schedule one-on-one time, and invite Kara to work with your organization and community. Get started today. Go to www.karajohnstad.com and receive a special guided meditation designed to fine-tune your inner voice and welcome you on the voice journey.
This is Kathy Beal, host of Celestial Compass, featuring astrology you can use. Celestial Compass points you to what's going on in the sky and what you can do with it down here on Earth. We also explore fun, effective, and cosmic tools for navigating this adventure we call life. Join me the first and third Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for Celestial Compass. It's enlightening, entertaining, and empowering.
Coping-19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
If you're feeling increasingly lonely right now, you're not alone. It's totally normal. Even though we may not be able to get together in person, connecting virtually with friends and family still gives you a chance to interact with people and may help raise your spirits. Join a virtual book club, set up group text chats, or online video coffee breaks with coworkers.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Welcome back to Voice Rising. I'm your host, Kara Johnstad, and with me today is the founder of the Sound Healing Center, David Gibson. David, we left off and you were talking about how it is our very natural frequency, or it is innate for us to be in this love space, in this space of oneness. That's how I understood what you were saying, that we should not suppress things like anger or grief, but we should express and then come back to this harmonious, peaceful, joyful state. So I thought I'd ask you a crazy question, which is, what's love? What is that state? What is the sound of love?
Oh, that's really cool.
What is love?
You can look at it from different perspectives of vibration. You can look at the frequency of love. Some people say 528, but now that's been debunked. So a lot of people are doing the 432, which is more like beep, right? Although we did a research project and found the frequency, there's a little bell curve that people came up with around 200 hertz, which is more like and then there's the note of love, which a lot of people say F is the heart chakra. But if people try different bowls or different frequencies for love, they don't come up with F. They're all over the place. Everybody's got their own frequency for love. And then you can even look at the actual, musical flow, the songs of love, which are generally in the minor key, right? You can even look at the musical intervals of love. So there's all these different areas. But, what's most important is the love that you have, that you find. And the easiest way to find that frequency is to actually bring love into your heart, which some people, if you can't do that, you might have to think of a time when you felt love. Bring it into your heart and then listen for a sound that matches that energy of love in your heart. Just play with it. You can't get it wrong, right? And then make it out loud. And if that feels right, that's it. There's a little app called N-Track Tuner, letter N Track Tuner, that will tell you what note and what frequency that is. That's the main energy or frequency of love for you, and everybody is different, right? Now, there's another one that's really cool, and that is the frequency of the key of your voice. Everybody sings when they speak, right? Some people sing really interesting songs, and other people stay on the same note the whole time, especially when they're about to die, right? And so that means everybody sings in a certain key. And the home note of the key that you sing in is where people commonly go to when they express love. Like, I really love my kitty. I love my kitty, right? I wouldn't go, I love my kitty. I love my kitty. No, I love my kitty. That last note is the home note. Some people go to the musical fifth. I love my kitty, right? But that note of the voice, of the key of your voice, is a different love note than the one we found inside the head, inside your heart. And so those are two really beautiful notes to really resonate with when expressing love, right? Now, there's another one that's even deeper, and that's your soul. Your soul, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, your soul's got to be a frequency because everything's vibration. And so I believe your soul is a pure, stable, perfect frequency that is humming consistently like no other in you. It's like your soul's looking at the rest of you going, you know, calm down, you know, physical, mental, emotional body, right? But I assume that your soul frequency is where you're at peace in your body. And so we do an assessment, which we can do online or at the Institute in Sausalito, where we actually play each of the 12 notes and find which note is your rhythm, which is, we find your note and rhythm, where you're at peace. And then we can give you brainwave CDs for delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma tuned to you. There is no better frequency than that of your metabolism, which is an average of your heart rate and brainwave rate when you're at peace, getting you back to you. And that's what I think of as the, who knows for sure, but that's what I think of as the soul frequency, is the frequency of your metabolism where you're at peace. So actually I had this psychic, it was funny, she said, you know, if you find your soul note and the frequencies of love and put them together into a chord, that will take you to another dimension. I'm like, holy moly, that was cool.
Yeah, why not, right?
And then, then there's one other frequency, which is not yours. It's the archetypal frequency of source. I think of source, or God, right, or spirit, as all frequencies. And we are all frequencies. We are a hologram of source energy. So to tune into all frequencies at once is the ideal. That's the place where all is known. It's like the place where the shaman can hear the actual song of flow of the plant and sing it, and you get its medicine. Or the Tibetan Lama sees all past lifetimes, right? It's in that essence of source, which is all frequencies. So tuning into even multiple sounds in a song, multiple harmonics, which are the frequencies in any sound, which you can hear in crystal bowls really well, or even multiple sparkles on the water, or a view with multiple things at once. That's like a portal on the way to tuning into multiple things at once, to tuning into all things at once, where you're one with source.
That's beautiful, David. That is like a tone at one. You know, that's one of those at one. I was thinking when you say source, I was thinking of the magician, the sorcerer, right, to work with all these frequencies. I want to play for our listeners a track you sent in called Unconditional Love. Is there something special you'd like to share about this track, or should we just...
You know, I used to have panic attacks years ago, and I would play this song on the guitar, and I would start crying, and the panic attack would go away. And then we've used this song with Parkinson's patients. This one Parkinson's patient, she said, oh, you know, Parkinson's is like having panic attacks all the time.
Wow.
And it's really effective. But was really careful about holding the energy of unconditional universal love through every moment of the creation of this song. So it's completely imbued with stable, consistent intention of love.
Beautiful. Let's listen. You are listening to Unconditional Love. With me in studio today is David Gibson. David, you discovered something called the hierarchy of vibration. So share with us. It is amazing if all is one, but about the word hierarchy and how does that work? What is the hierarchy of vibration?
Well, a lot of people think of sound healing as frequency, but it's not just frequency, it's also music. And in fact, what I've discovered as the structure of all reality is we have the core frequencies, and then we've got a bunch of frequencies which are called a timbre or tonality. It's just the harmonic structure of any sound. And then we have the relationship between two sounds, which are musical intervals. And then we have musical flow, which is the fourth level. And the fifth level is energy. But you have, and a lot of people focus on one or the other. So if you're looking inside the body, it's like the cells are the frequencies. Organs are a bunch of cells. So those are like timbres or tonality. The relationship between the organs is the musical interval relationship, just the relationship between two frequencies. And then the flow through the body is the whole deal. So what has happened is, I got this download as to how to heal every disease in the world a few months ago. At 4 in the morning, my guides woke me up and said, this is how you do it. I'm like, okay, tell me. And they said, first of all, we need to know the musical interval relationship between the heart, brain, and breath when you're in the zone, right? And so I called up Heart Math, and I got actual readouts of the heart, brain, and breath when people are in heart coherence, which is really mostly running love, right? And we found that the relationship is octaves, which it means double the frequency or double the rhythm, right? And then my guide said, we need to know the actual rhythm of each of the 11 systems in the body and the melody and song. I'm like, okay, how are we going to do that? And they said, well, first of all, the rhythm's going to be easy because it's going to be in direct relationship to the heart, brain, and breath when you're in the zone, right? Which you can get into pretty easily, right? And so we can figure out the rhythm of each of the 11 systems pretty easily. But then we need the notes of the melody. Well, if you're going to have notes in a system, you got to know where the nodes are to measure for the nodes. In meridians, the nodes are the acupuncture points, right? And if you find the frequency of the acupuncture points, when energy flows through a meridian, it's playing a song at a very specific rhythm and melody, right? So we got a bunch of doctors together to find the nodes in each of the 11 systems to measure for. And then John Stuart Reed, who invented the simoscope that measures and shows the actual vibration of water droplets in being vibrated by water, he's been working with an electron microscope called the Raman spectroscopy, and it will find the exact frequency content of all frequencies in any cell scientifically. So we can now measure those nodes and know the notes of the melody with the rhythm precisely tuned to you. So we can now use frequencies and needles. We can use microcurrents with electromagnetism. We can use infrared light and play that river of flow tuned to each of your 11 systems in the body.
Which is mind-blowing. I mean, I do remember when color acupuncture came out. That was like in the 90s or something, right? But it would be pretty amazing to, I mean, I guess we can also do it with our humming and our voice. We can put them on the meridians, right? But to even have the acupuncture with the needles done.
But we're working, so this is the hierarchy where we're working at all levels, not just points, frequencies. We're working with the actual flow, the river of flow as well, right?
And that you're also working with these two ideas. One is I'm going to feed the body with beautiful sounds and music, birds sounds, ocean waves, and everybody is coming into harmony. And the other one is really measuring each person's system, each person's unique signature symphonic orchestra.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, the truth is, Source knows about flow more than anything. So ultimately, connecting to Source and having Source do whatever frequencies you need, even through your voice, bring Source through your voice. That's the best. But a lot of people can't do that. So what this is really for ultimately is changing the medical system, right? So we can actually have a system that will create and overcome any blockages in your system, to actually, and not kill you in the process, right? Which most medical parts do. Now, there's one other thing that's really cool. A couple of things. I mean, if you get down to it, I was a physics major at UC Berkeley, and there's a concept called destructive resonance, and that is if you find the frequency of something and turn the volume up, it explodes. This is exactly what they do with kidney stones. They find the frequency with ultrasound, turn the volume up, and explode them, right? Well, with this device that John Stuart Reed came up with, we can now find the entire frequency content of any cell or any virus or any bacteria and explode it 100% of the time. There's now a medical device called the focused MRI that's being introduced into hospitals now, so we can actually destroy any cancer cell, and the person goes home in a half hour with no side effects. But with this device, this is where we're headed, and I see it now, is to find the resonant frequency of every single part of the body tuned to that person, because everybody's a little different. And
that
resonate,
is what makes it so special, right? I think
right.
that,
And then
that is what makes it so unique.
You resonate you at every level, cellular, emotional, physical, mental, emotional, every part of the body into its natural resonant frequency of you. And now we're talking about the template of perfection, the Holy Grail.
Right.
So this is and it's starting to happen, right? So it's really, really exciting. The
potential is mind-blowing, and I think we're going to take this break to really allow ourselves to absorb this high. Dang. Man.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. ascendinghearts.com.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me the Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
The United States has the highest rate of incarceration in the world. At the Equal Justice Initiative, we believe mass incarceration has to end. There is this presumption of dangerousness and guilt that gets assigned to Black and brown people. We have to confront our history of racial injustice and commit to a new era of truth. There's something better waiting for us, something that feels more like freedom. Truth can inspire change. Please learn more at EJI.org.
Welcome back to Voice Rising. I'm your host, Cara Johnstad, and I am with David Gibson, and we are flying high here talking about sound healing and voice. And David, you said something about octaves, and I'm always amazed because octaves is like unity consciousness, right? I mean, you have two completely different tones, but of course you're doubling in the frequency, and yet you land at the same tone, and in between these two tones you have the master number of 11, and you're like, wow. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think like people don't realize how amazing it is. They're like, let's play the A at the piano, and then the other one that's 440, and the other one's 880. And yet they sound unified. But
it's interesting, if you look at with all the different parts of the body, they're often the same rhythm or doubled, which is an octave, or half, which is an octave. A lot of it, though, I've been talking with a lot of researchers in the field, and there's a couple of others. There's also the musical fifth, which is a 3-2 relationship, which is a beautiful, harmony. Right, and the third, which is so funny because octaves, fifths, and thirds, not to get too technical here, those are the main harmonies within the harmonics, which are these higher frequencies in all sounds. Like I can bring out the harmonics in my voice. Right? Those harmonics are those musical intervals. So we're thinking that the relationship between all cells, all organs, all parts of the body are going to be harmonious when you're healthy, are going to be octaves, musical fifths, and thirds, which because that the body is mostly is totally in harmony when together. So we can actually use those intervals, even when they're different from person to person. The frequencies are different, and the notes are different. The intervals will be the same.
Right.
And that's what I see as the template of perfection of health, is the musical interval relationship.
But didn't you say, I'm now like connecting my brain with yours from across the ocean. Didn't you say there are 11, in the hierarchy, there are 11 systems that you're working with? And
well, it's 11 medical systems.
Yeah, and isn't there, if you think of the octave, and that's what I thought this now for the very first time in my life, but there are 11 notes in between the octaves. So if the octave is the root, if the octave is what we would call the tonic, which is, of course, the tonic, there are 11 notes in between. That's kind of mind-blowing. Whoa. That's, I was always freaking out with the sevens because I played piano for my whole life. And it was so bizarre that when I started to write songs and I had to, I learned classically and I was doing a lot of songwriting, and I would hand it to the guitarist or whoever. And then suddenly I looked for the first time at the piano, and there's 7, twins and 7 triplets, and and within a fifth there's 7, right? It's all this stuff. But that's the first time I actually was sitting here in the break saying, but if I'm on C and going to a C, there's 11 notes in between. I'm always thinking in 12, right? That's kind of fascinating. That just blew me away. Yeah.
Imagine hearing all 11 of your songs playing at the same time. Oh, this is where we're headed. I've come up with a whole virtual reality system where you can put on a VR helmet and you can see all of your organs and see all 11 systems when you look down, like a graphic of them, and they will be flowing precisely to your system because you'll be hooked up to EKG, a heart monitor, and EEG brainwave monitor, and you'll see them flowing precisely to you in virtual reality in real time. And then when you synchronize to a breath, and everybody's got their own tempo of breath they go to when they're completely relaxed. So we actually have you breathe to your natural breath, and you will see all 11 systems in virtual reality. Of those 11 songs, you'll be hearing them too, go into complete harmony while you're actually doing it. Oh my God, right?
Yeah.
I can't wait to
what I really, in Germany we'd say Hut ab. Hut ab means, take your hat off to the sky. Because you work so much with the integrity of each person. And I just have so much respect for that. So many people come to me and they're like, Cara, I don't know how to breathe. I'm like, you've been breathing for 40 years. Like, let's just, relax this. I don't know how to sing. It's like, hey, it's okay, like step by step. But there's no forced patterns on top of the system. It's more of a unfolding or revealing of or synchronizing with. There's so much integrity. And I think that is, for me, as someone who works a lot with the throat is for me always about integrity. It's about, the emotional fields, and then the third eye, and, just coming into this immense harmony. And we know that every sound we make in our throat is feeding every single cell, right? So people think also about this throat as a certain frequency, some singing bowl was made, and I'm like, that's a little bit too easy. I think we should all tune into our own system.
It's as simple as going up and down with different notes and seeing which one your throat likes. right? It's like, when I at our college, I hand out 10,000 frequencies for everything you could imagine, everything from chakras to cells, right? But no one agrees with anybody. So the whole deal is to become more and more still and sensitive, so you can sense what note is good for you for the throat, what is good for the root chakra, what is good for your soul, what is good for love, right? Sense it yourself so that you're not subscribing to some system that isn't necessarily you, right? And learn to totally be able to intuitively find. Then that's the whole goal, is to get better and better at finding things yourself.
We have a couple of moments left. You did send me a song, but I really want to ask you a couple of questions, so I'm going to forego and tell.
Sound of Love too.
Yeah, Sound of Love, and I'm going to, you guys out there, just go to, just check out David Gibson. He's everywhere on the internet, But let's talk about we talked a lot about the medical field, and what we haven't talked about yet is that you are doing a lot of great work for our kids. You have let me get this right here, the soundeducationcenter.com. And what I was so excited about seeing, I did download some of the exercises. What I was just so happy about seeing is exactly where we were now with playing with, the 11 between the octaves. You actually are using sacred geometry and sound to get people, and body percussion, and all the fun things to get people turned on, kids who often hate math because they don't understand. I remember learning, you need to use this and this angle because if you ever want to measure the star, right, how far away it is, and you're like, why? Why do I need to do that? It's beautiful, right? And so, and it just was so exciting to see your work. So you're transforming the health industry, or the health profession. So that's good, and you're transforming kids' lives, so they're not only going to be expressing their emotions, but they're going to understand what a miracle they are, right? So do you want to say? Oh my God.
And connected to nature. I mean, let's do the math of nature, right? That's complex, and teach that. I mean, when I did my math class in school, I still don't have any clue why I learned it. Maybe just to get my brain to work more logically, but that was it. I have no idea. Whereas the kids should be learning the golden mean in the body and learn the math of that. Learn, all these patterns that are connected to nature and to yourself, and get them in their body. It's so cool. I mean, this morning we had the kids doing gibberish to each other. And they're like, they're totally doing it, blah, 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 right? And then this one kid says, I want to do love. And everybody's like, okay, let's do gibberish with love. And all the kids do. I said, okay, let's send love to all the kids on the planet. They're like, okay.
So cool. Beautiful.
And then I said, send love to your own heart. And they kind of look down, and then they go, they did it.
I'm so looking forward to my biggest dream is kind of to live a life like a musical, like where we all walk out and we say, good morning, good morning. It's like we open the windows, everyone's dancing like kids. Like, why did I, a little bit of the Peter Pan story, I guess. But I think that, before we close, the essence of what I have, learned and resonated with deeply in this last week is that it's not just you and me. There are thousands, if not millions, of people doing this, but it's that easy. It's about the choice. It's about the choice to say yes to the love frequency. It's about the choice because it is that accessible. And the question is for all of us, do we want to say yes to living this vibrant life, right? And celebrate actually comes from cells vibrating, right? I mean, that's basically the essence of the word celebrate is.
One of the simplest is any challenge you have, just send love to it, right? That's like so simple, right? When you get really upset or frustrated with anything, just send love to it, right? And it's if you can't shift to it, make the sound of how you're feeling and shift to it, then send love. And it's now you're getting a stable, consistent vibration in your body that supports your health and sends that out to help support that vibration on the whole planet.
Exactly. David, it's been it's been blissful. It's been
sound of love.
Sound of love. It's been the sound of love. Yeah. Thank you so much for